Hey everybody, this week's episode of the R&R Show is brought to you by Fun Again Games. And hello, Ruel, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, my friend. How's it going, Richard?
It's going okay. Had a very eventful week so far. Actually been an eventful few weeks, ever since my wife started actually fundraising for the people of Ukraine by doing, completely zero profit sales of her new Ukrainian line of Witwat. She has gotten so many orders. She is so overloaded. She's going to be working on this until probably mid or the end of April, trying to fulfill all the orders, because we did not expect the amazing outpouring of support that the board game populace at large was willing to step up and help. We don't have a final number yet, but we're getting close to $10,000 in total. Gosh. And we've already sent on 8,000 of it. And it's I just want to say a huge thank you, and I know Jen says the same to everybody out there. I think we looked last night, and she was down to only one last Wit for sale in her store. So by the time, if you go to ukraine.rahdo.com, it might be too late. They might all be gone. But just it's the thought that counts. And Jen's been working really hard. So have I. I have become a production assembly line mass shipper guy. Nice. I told you all the steps we have to go through. By the way, folks, did you know this is only half the show? In addition to the R&R show, which you're watching now on YouTube, there's a pre-show and a post-show that we stream live every week where we go into all kinds of stuff. Dig deep, lots of reviews of games and interesting background tidbits. We both got a little verklempt as we were talking about a bit of trivia about me today in the pre-show. And in the post-show, Who knows what's going to happen. So if you'd like to see more of this, you can hit that eye in the top right corner screen and go to the R&R Show Extended Edition, where everything goes. But today, we are here to talk about 10 games. And what games are we going to be talking about, Ruel?
We are going to be talking about the 10 games we'd buy right now. So
yes.
Thanks to our sponsor, Fun Again Games. They've got a big old sale happening right now. So, of course, we had to spend all night last night and a bunch of time this morning as well, just going through everything that's going on there at Fun Again. And I think, well, at least from my standpoint, I've got games that I'm really excited about to talk about. And I know you've got some games as well.
I mean, they've got 400 games that are marked down up to 80% off. And so really what we did is we focused on, you click on this spring clearance sale, you have 400 games to look through. So we figured, let's help you out and tell you the 10 we would, pony up for. And maybe you'll see some interesting stuff there yourself. And maybe you'll get lucky, because one lucky viewer of this episode is going to get a $50 gift certificate for Fun Again Games. It covers the games, covers the shipping, and how do they win, Ruel?
Well, Richard, what they do is what you're going to do.
We're so smooth.
Watch this
We're
episode.
just silky smooth. Look at us go.
Totally smooth. Watch this episode, and one of us is going to say the secret word during our list here. And what you're going to do is when you hear that secret word, which today for this episode is sister.
Yes.
Sister, your sibling, your sister. Once you hear one of us say that, you're going to take note of the game that we're talking about, then send the name of that game over to an email to contest@rahdo.com. So not the word sister, but the game that we're talking about when one of us mentions that word sister. Contest@rahdo.com. And you'll be entered to win that gift certificate from Fun Again Games.
Yep, and we're going to make a few suggestions from what you might want to spend it on. Okay, so I think that's it. We've got the particulars out of the way. We can start counting down. I had about 30 I could talk about. And we will talk about some more of them in the post-show. Again, for folks who would like to see the post-show, hit that eye or follow the link down in the show notes. But, it was tough getting it down to 5, or getting it down to 10, and then getting it down to 5, because we share this list. How about you?
Yeah, I had at least 20 right off the bat, but I was like, okay, so what do I want to focus on, or what do I want to highlight? So I picked some stuff. Well, you'll see. Well, you're going to see here the reasons why I picked the ones I picked here. But again, if you do hang out for the post-show, folks, or the pre-show on Twitch, when we do this live, you can find out way more than you get here on the YouTube show.
Yep.
But, okay.
All right, well, then let's get going. What's our number 10, Ruel?
Our number 10 is, I'm going to kick this off from a designer who is well-renowned. Number 10 is The Hunger.
Okay.
This is from Richard Garfield, who created this little game you might have heard of called Magic the Gathering. Also, some other games such as King of Tokyo. And this one here, now I have not gotten a chance to play it yet. It came out last year, I think around Gen Con or so. And I do believe you have a run through of it.
Yes, I do.
Or maybe. Okay. It's a deck building. It's, from what I understand, it's like Clank. It's got deck building. It's got a little bit of a race element to it because you are vampires, doing your thing, trying to stay away from people who want to stab you in the heart with a wooden stake. And you've got to do it before the sun comes up. So you go in, build your deck, and get the heck out. Now, this is really on my mind because there's an expansion coming out real soon.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I just got an email from Renegade talking about there's an expansion. I don't know when it's going to come out, but that's why it's on my mind. I really want to hear more about your experience with this.
Sure.
Because I have not been able to play it yet.
Yeah, I have played it. I have done a run through. You can check that out. Just do a search for Rahdo Hunger, and you'll find it. You're entirely right. I mean, there's no getting around it. It is a reasonable thing to draw parallels between it and Clank, which is particularly interesting because Clank is also published by Renegade Studios.
Right.
So, I mean,
yes.
I know when I first put my video up, there were a lot of people saying, hey, wait a minute, this is just a ripoff of Clank. And I'm like, okay, so you're saying they're ripping themselves off. Okay, I don't know that really tracks, but let me bring up my video of it. It is a game, it is a board game where we are building a deck of cards that has, that gives us the ability to move through the environment, and we're kind of overall pushing our luck, trying to travel deeper and deeper and deeper into the countryside because greater riches await for us the further we go, the further away we move from our castle. And like Clank, where there's the constant, ever-present menace of the dragon who might get us if we make too much noise. Here, the danger is the sun, because there's only so much time before the sun will rise, and if we haven't made it back to the castle, or at least the grounds around the castle, we will fry and get nothing. So how far do you push forward before you realize, I gotta turn around? Do you just stay? Do you not risk anything and just try and stay and see if you can get lucky and catch some villagers for their blood, because we are vampires, around, and not even go deep at all? There's a lot of different strategies you can do. And really, I think people are going to ask, well, should I get this or Clank? Or if I have Clank, should I get this? First of all, if you have Clank and you love it, you will love this game. There's no two ways about it. I tend to think of this as this is almost kind of like a next step from Clank. Clank is a very almost gateway game. I mean, it's very easy to teach. Hunger requires more. It there's more computation. There's more complex rules to keep track of. So, like I said, it is more of a gamer game as opposed to kind of a gateway game. It also has a very, very cool card drafting system for how you build your deck and how you thin your deck as well. Because I mean, one of the main things we want to get into our deck are all these villagers who have special powers, but also have a lot of blood, which is our points. The problem is, once we've gotten them and we've used them, they, I'm not quite sure what the story is. I tend to think of it as they've fallen under our thrall and they follow us around now. And so you have to, I just love the story. As you go deeper, you can imagine yourself as a vampire with a belly full of blood. You can barely move. You're so slow because all these villagers are now clogging up your deck. And so you have to find places you could drop them off. It's kind of like you're dropping them off on the way back home. And it's a fast playing game. I would actually say the game takes less time to finish than Clank, and at the same time, it is heavier and has more stuff going on, and a broader mix of different mechanisms, and I think it's really, really clever. I mean, like I said, it's from designer Richard Garfield, the father of Magic the Gathering, so that really should come as no surprise, and again, if you like Clank, you could call this, this is Clank the Vampire game. But again, it does the same stuff, but in a very different way with its own unique feel. If you want to know more, you can go watch my run through. I talk about this in the final thoughts, but a good choice, I would say, for number 10. Definitely. Yeah,
I can't wait to try this one. That's the Hunger at our number 10.
Yep.
Let's move on now. And by the way, this is part of the spring sale, folks. I mean, it's I don't know if we're talking about prices and stuff, but it's a pretty heavy discount. So check it out, folks.
Yeah. I mean, these discounts go, even from like 30 to 80% off. There are some definite savings, which I think is as good a segue as any into my number 9, Okanagan. Okay, and this is a game I have actually wanted to play for several years. It's a tile laying game, where players are, building to a communal space, kind of Carcassonne-y, right? Okanagan. But as you are placing these tiles out, rather than just putting meeples marking what it is that you might want to do with them, let me see, hold on here, let me get them on screen. I should probably put it on screen, shouldn't I? Rather than just putting meeples on screen, or to grab the road or whatever, you have these different things. You have a tower, you have like a log cabin, and I think you have a third type of building. And what happens is, these things are laying claim on the landscape that's being built up, which again is kind of, there are no pictures of it on right. Shoot. Are there any pictures? Nope, there are not. So let me just say right off the bat, $12.99. That's why this is on this list.
Oh, wow.
Wow. There is no reason at $13, the cost of a couple cups of coffee on your morning commute, not to give this a go. And I've always been interested, but let's go on ahead and take a look at it on Board Game Geek, right? There'll be some pictures. Board Game Geek, yep. Okanagan. All right, there we go. Boom. And so the tile laying, you're creating forests and castle-y bits and all of that. But when you put your tiles down, if it's a building, you put it on a given space, so that gives you access to that space. If it's a log cabin, you put it on the line between two types of terrain, so you are laying claim to both two types of terrains. And then the towers, you put it at the epicenter of 3 or more, so that tower is letting you grab onto 3 bits of terrain. And what this is ultimately doing is area control, because you want to, once a given area gets completely enclosed, whether it's huge or small, everybody who has a foothold in there is going to get something. But whoever has the biggest foothold gets the lion's share of the rewards. And that's one of the things I really, really love. Jen and I, we're really not big on area control games usually. We don't want to say, ha, you worked so hard and I'm stealing all that right out from underneath you via area majority type stuff. But in this game, coming in first, that just means I get first dibs on the stuff. Now, maybe there wasn't much stuff in there, in which case I get everything, but if it's a big area, you're going to get some stuff too. And then the other thing that was really interesting to me, that is, if you don't win, if you don't get the lion's share of the stuff in the area that we were all vying for, you get access to these special power tiles. So everybody wins. As a Care Bear, that's what I want in my area majority area. I want an area majority where everybody's a winner. And that's what Okanagan gives. And I've looked through, actually I watched Z Garcia's run through or video review of this on the Dice Tower, and he liked it. And I mean, the variety that comes from all these power tiles, it looks really, really cool to me. And I mean, I just got to give this a go for 12. We didn't say if we were going to talk about price, but I'm talking about price. Okanagan comes in at number 9 because it looks great. I've wanted to try this for years because an area control for Care Bears, yes, please.
Yeah, that looks fantastic. I'd never heard of the game until right now when you revealed it. And for a couple of cups of coffee, I would totally, give that up.
Totally.
That is dirt cheap. That's a great choice. Awesome.
Well, thank you.
Okay, let's go. Let's move on to my number.
Number 8.
Our number 8. And our number 8 is Come on now. Is Dinosaur World. Now, for those of you who join us for the pre-show, when we go live on Twitch every Tuesday, we were talking about this, and I'm going to bring back a little bit of that conversation. We're actually talking about Dinosaur Island and how much I love Dinosaur Island, the Roll and Write, which is called Rawr and Write. This is Dinosaur World, which is the next bit in this world that they've created over Pandasaurus Games. This is taking Dinosaur Island and expanding it even more. So you have fans of Dinosaur Island, you'll see the very familiar worker placement. You're gathering DNA to create your dinosaurs, and hey, nothing will go wrong in a park full of dinosaurs, right?
It'll all be fine.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. What this does, though, it really it does create more of a sense of the park that you're creating, because as you can see, you have tiles. So you're going to be doing some tile placement, which the original game and the Roll and Write game do not. So you're going to place tiles and create an actual park that will expand. And, again, we're not talking about prices, but I'm going to talk about prices. This game retails for $60. It's almost half off. And I've picked up this box in real life. Folks, it's like picking up a sack of bricks. I mean, it is so heavy, and it's got so many components. It's got dinosaur meeples. Come on, dino meeples. It's got tiles. It's got all the great components.
Do the meeples come with stickers?
I think those are stickers. I don't think.
Or was that like a promo bonus thing? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but
Okay.
I know that there are Dino Meeples in the game. If you've never played Dinosaur Island before, if you're a fan of Jurassic Park, it's a must. It's a must play. I love Jurassic Park. Now I did enjoy Dinosaur Island, but I like the roll and write more. But I'm looking at Dinosaur World. This may be the one that really hits all the notes for me because I do like that tile placement aspect of the game, and that's why it's our number 8, Dinosaur World.
This was on my short list. And I figured it would be on your even shorter list. But yeah, if you weren't going to talk about it, I was. Dinosaur Island is a very, very good game. Really lots of clever, interesting ideas. It didn't quite, hit me and Jen as hard as I would have thought. And, what I've heard from some folks whose opinion I trust very much so, they have said, I am going to love Dinosaur World. That all the things that didn't work for me and Jen about Dinosaur Island have been replaced, like you said, with tile laying and other bigger ideas. So yeah, like I said, if it hadn't been on your list, it would have been on mine. Nice. Yeah, because that's a crazy, crazy price. Our number 8, Dinosaur. Not Island. I was going to say Island. Dinosaur World. Dinosaur World, right.
Dinosaur World.
Yep, cool.
All right.
Good call, sir. Well, then, let's move on to number 7. And this is one I know very, very well. My wife and I spent quite a bit of time playing it last year when we got an early release copy of it. What is it, you ask? It's Adventures of Robin Hood. Which,
nice.
I don't know. I don't know if you have played Adventures of Robin Hood, Ruel.
I have.
Yeah, you have. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Well, maybe you could just talk about it then.
Well, I played the what I've done is I played the introductory scenario, which does this really cool thing. It reminded me a little bit of Legends of Andor, where they don't really they don't give you like a rule book per se. They give you an introductory scenario to learn how to play it, which I think it was brilliant. And you dive right into the world, and you're using the little pieces. It's almost like gosh, how do I explain it? The little markers that you use signify different amounts of movement that you do. So you're going to move on that map and you're going to discover the different tiles. And it's almost like a little pop-up book where you like lift up the little tiles like, oh, this is here now. And now we got to go find the section of the book that we read the narrative from. It's really well written. That book alone, right there, I would put that on my shelf. That book
oh my gosh,
so
yes.
nice.
Yeah. And by the way,
Beautiful
I was just joking. You didn't have to do it. I didn't think you were actually going to do my job for me, but you can keep going. But I don't know what you've got coming. I don't want to have to sign up for that. So yes, thank you for the intro. Yeah, I mean, the production quality on this game is phenomenal, which is why it's so interesting that it is coming in at a very, very good price, considering what you get. This is a hardback. It's not leather, but it's kind of like a faux leather book with, the ribbons and whatnot that you can keep in to play through. I forget. I think it's either a 6 or an 8 chapter narrative campaign. And the real star of the show is the board. Like you said, it's not so much a pop-up book. It's more like an advent calendar where there are all kinds of things hidden, strewn all over, Prince John's Castle and Sherwood Forest and all of that. And as you're going through the story, events will happen that will say, hey, flip over card 78 or, tile 78, and you'll flip that over and what is it? Oh, it's a bandit who's, attacking a caravan. And so, and you deal with that and eventually it'll go away and you flip it back over and now there's nothing in that space anymore. But you now know that's a place where bandits might, actually we're the bandits in the game. We're Robin Hood, of course. So, where we have our people getting captured by the guards and we know that's a place where that might happen in the future. Because, sometimes they're just guards. Sometimes they're rich, terrible merchants who are just waiting to make a donation to the less fortunate among us. And so the book, as you're going through, is constantly having you flip these tiles up and down, on and off. So it's like the world is alive. Like there's actually a timetable that you're living in. This is not a game where the world just sits in stasis waiting for you to come along. You've got to respond to it. And it's so well done. I mean, you're talking about how it really just babies you into the game with a very almost video game-like tutorial system. And, by the time you're in the second mission, you pretty much know everything you need to know. The movement system is really great. Because your player token is represented by a little meeple that's you, but also these movement meeples that show how far you can move if you're willing to spend energy. And the more energy you spend, the more of these little meeples you get to put on and kind of position so that, I want to turn tight around a corner and go as efficiently as I can, or I'm desperate to try to get from one bit of shadow to another bit of shadow. Because we're thieves. If we're caught out in the open, bad things can happen to us. So we're always trying to stay in the shadows, and it's super clever. My wife and I, we played through the entire campaign when we had it last year. We enjoyed it so much. And it's from designer artist Michael Menzel. And in the past, Michael Menzel, as a designer artist, made one of my top 100 games of all time, Legends of Andor. And now that's a heavier game, more gamer. This is definitely more kind of family weight, although it does introduce a lot of really cool new ideas. As a hardened gamer like myself, I was like, wow, this is so cool. But it's wonderful for families. Just joy. I will recommend. Some people are worried about, hey, if I'm constantly flipping these tiles, isn't it going to get kind of beat up over time? What I found Jen has nails. So she used her nails. It was no problem at all. Me, I used a butter knife. We played through the whole thing, and I don't think you could tell that it still wasn't brand new. If you don't have to treat it gingerly, you just can't just like kind of paw at them. You'll do fine. I mean, I just mentioned this because when I did my run through, a lot of people mentioned that. It looks like it'll self implode. Nope, just use a butter knife or long fingernails, and you'll be totally fine with our number 7, Adventures of Robin Hood.
Yeah, I'm so glad this made on the list because it reminds me that I recently just got a copy of this, and I played the introductory mode actually over on the Dice Tower during the Autumn Spectacular last year, and I got a copy. I recently got a copy because Michelle and I want to go through it, and I'm glad to hear. I mean, I knew the components were excellent, but I'm glad to hear that it still looks new to you after going through the whole.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Awesome. Great call.
And as I understand it, there is going to be expansion content coming for it. I think it's already been announced for Germany, which means we will eventually get it in English as well. So I think the game, like Andor before it, has a bright future.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Great choice. And let's move on to our number 6. That was our number 7, Adventures of Robin Hood. Our number 6, we recently talked about it on our top 100 games of all time, is Raiders of the North Sea. Yeah. I had to put this on here because, I mean, it's one of my favorites, but again, the prices are almost ridiculous at Fun Again Games as far as, getting a quality game like this. It's a worker placement game set in a Viking world. Again, we are both fans of Shem Phillips. Yes. He created the North Sea world. You are gathering your members to go raiding and pillaging and all the fun stuff that Vikings do. As you can see there, the beautiful map. You're going to spend the most of the game on the bottom half of that, saying your workers, crafting, getting resources, and then you're going to eventually float on over, cross the river there, and then go attack villages and gain gold and victory points and all that stuff. This is a gateway game, but with the expansions, it really gets into a gateway plus, I feel, and this one surprised me 2 years ago when I was able to get my wife Michelle into it. She wasn't really into the theme, but the gameplay was so good, and we literally played it like a dozen times in like a couple of weeks. It was just one time after another. We really enjoyed it, and I love the expansion content, especially I think it's the first one, the one that adds the mead hall and stuff. So that's why it's our number 6, Raiders of the North Sea.
Yeah, I have to admit, I was shocked when I saw this was on a spring clearance sale, because this continues to be a hot game. It's gotten multiple expansions. I'm wondering does this maybe mean that Raiders of Scythia, the heir apparent to the Raiders of the North Sea, I wonder if that's going to be getting more attention in the future, and we're getting a sneak of what's to come. I mean, it's brilliant. My wife's the same thing. She does not want to play a game where she spends her whole time in a Euro worker placement way killing a bunch of people, but she loved this one because the gameplay is so good.
Yeah. And I think that's, I didn't even think about that. It's a great point. Like, are they going to start pushing Scythia rather than North Sea? Scythia is great as well, but what Scythia doesn't have is art by the Miko, right? The Miko does this art here, which I know someone here is a big fan of.
Oh, yes. Yes, very much so. Although, several people have corrected me. For folks who don't know, apparently it's not the Miko, even though it's spelled M-I-C-O. It's supposed to be the Micho. The Micho.
The Micho.
Yes.
Okay, Micho. All right.
So that's something that everybody should be working for. Unless, of course, I'm wrong, in which case folks can let me know. Because I wouldn't be surprised if I tend to get Macedonian names mispronounced just a little bit. But a great game. Good call. Yep. But let us move on from number 6 to number 5. And I'm really kind of bummed that this didn't make it into our number 7 slot because it's Seven Wonders Architects.
Oh, nice.
And that would have been absolutely wonderful if it had happened, but it did not. But let me go on ahead and tell you all about it. Now, I suspect most people are familiar with Seven Wonders. I mean, I believe it won the Spiel des Jahres. It kind of put card drafting on the map as continues to be this day, one of the most common board game mechanisms or card game mechanisms we see today. And the weird thing that's always bugged me about Seven Wonders Architects is people always mention it in the same sentence as Ticket to Ride or Carcassonne is, oh yeah, Seven Wonders, that's a great gateway game. No! It's a terrible gateway game. Who thinks that? Because, man, trying to sit somebody down to the table for the first time with a modern game and say, okay, here's your 7 cards, full of 5,000 icons, each one which functions completely differently. Go have fun. That's the antithesis of a gateway game. But not Seven Wonders Architects. This is very much, it's in the same universe. It has a lot of the same feel. We are racing to build wonders. We are, have multi-use elements of the game and all that, but it is stripped down to the metal and incredibly fast playing. And this is the very definition of a gateway family game. This is a game I would play with my mom. This is a game I would play with my sister. This is a game I would play with my niece and nephew. And they would all come back wanting a second game. How does it work? Well, it still borrows the idea that I care about what's happening to the player to my left and my right. Because between me and my neighbors is a deck of cards. And we can see what card is on the top of the deck. And when it comes to my turn, I'm either going to take the card at the top between me and my neighbor to the left, or the card between me and my neighbor to the right. And then it's face up. I know exactly what I'm going to get. Am I going to be getting military cards, trying to spur a war so I can get points? Am I going to try to do set collection with science? Am I just going to get straight up culture points? Am I going to get the resources I need to build my wonder? And if I don't like the card to my left or my right, there's a face down deck in the center of the board, and I can just say, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and tempt fate and grab one of those. And it's so simple. It's incredibly fast playing game. This game takes less than 20 minutes, pretty much no matter the player count. Although I should say, this is not like Seven Wonders, are completely simultaneous. I mean, the turn order does go around the table, but it's so fast and so fun. And I mean, it is just joy in a box. Very interactive. You constantly care about, okay, well, I really want to take this culture card because it's a 5-point card. But if I don't take that science card to my left, my neighbor is going to finish a science set, and that's going to be even huger. Okay, am I going to start doing science myself? How am I going to work this? It's full of simple, light, kind of Euro gateway decisions that make a player feel smart. It is on the light side, make no mistake, but oh my gosh, this is just about the perfect gateway game that just makes people say, wow, I didn't know board games could be about this. This is really interesting, and it's colorful, and it's fast, and it's easy to learn, and everybody gets a unique player power depending on what ancient civilization they do every time. I think it's phenomenal, and if you'd like to know a little bit more about it, folks, you can go watch the run-through on the channel, which was done by Kimberly Tolson, who I'm sorry, Ruel, you are no longer the new kid on the block. Kimberly is the latest addition to the channel. She did an amazing run-through of this and really brought it to life, and I think shows it to good effect. So definitely do a search for Rahdo 7 Wonders Architects and watch Kim show you just how much fun our number 5 can be. That is 7 Wonders Architects.
Fantastic choice. And I'm so glad you brought up that whole, is Seven Wonders a gateway game or not? Because it is, I totally agree it's not, because how many times have you tried to explain the whole science thing to
my gosh.
gamer? Like, it's not happening.
Yeah.
You know? And what they did with Seven Wonders Architects was brilliant. They stripped it down to the core experience, and I absolutely adore this game. And again, like you said, Kimberly, her run through was perfect. And one thing, just component wise, I just think it's neat that you're actually building the wonder in front of you.
It's not abstracted out at all. You actually are making the pyramid or the Colossus of Rhodes or whatever, and it's broken in. Yeah, that's a really good point too. There's kind of a fun toy factor to it also.
Totally. All right. Great choice.
All right.
And let's move on to something a little heavier on the spectrum here. Our number 4 is Brass Lancashire.
Yep.
I here's the thing. I have not played this game. I have played Brass Birmingham many, many, many times. It's in my top 10 of all time. It's a Martin Wallace game. It burns my brain every time I play it. But I've heard that there's certain people that think Lancashire is actually the better game. So both of these have spawned from the original Brass by Martin Wallace. But as you can see here, Roxley has updated it, new rules, and just beautiful artwork. I mean, it really captures that industrial age. It is a pick up and deliver game. Well, I think we had this conversation.
We did have this argument in a previous extended edition of the R&R show. What is pick up and deliver?
Yeah, what is pick up and deliver? But in this case, what you're doing, you are creating new industries at the turn of the century here, and you've got to try to connect them to create them, connect the goods that are required to build those. And I think Lancashire, do they do the same thing as far as like two different ages that you're going to work in, like the rail?
So you said you haven't played this yet, right?
No, I've only played
Let me return the favor. You stepped in on mine, I'll step in on yours. This is widely considered to be Martin Wallace's masterpiece. And that's saying something, because man has a lot of masterpieces under his belt. And it's interesting you say, originally, Brass Lancashire was just what Brass was called. And a few years ago, we had a beautiful, one of the most gorgeous looking Euros of the last 5 years, reprint of, and became Brass Lancashire, and then there was a spin-off called Brass Birmingham. Now, Brass Birmingham is the newer, the hot one, because it added new features like, beer brewing, in addition to all the textile making and the coal manufacturing that we were doing in the original game. And so I think there's a lot of, Birmingham's the one to get. I would say no, because Lancashire is a more pure, stripped down, economic engine without a lot of extra fluff. Now, I will say it is the more challenging game because it's a bit less forgiving. Birmingham is a game that is, it's odd. At one time, it's more complex, there's more rules to manage, but it's also more forgiving on a new player. So really, either one is great. Lancashire is the one I personally would choose to own because I like the greater challenge. And the challenge is trying to build routes between cities all throughout industrial era England. And the crux of the game has always been the synergy between players. Because as soon as I lay down track, everybody's using that track. As soon as I make a coal producing plant, there is a feeding frenzy trying to grab all of my coal so that other people can, spur their industry. And you might think, that sounds like it's really cutthroat. No, I built that coal mine there, or that coal plant there, because I knew it was in a perfect place where everybody else would want my coal. This is not a zero-sum economic simulation where everything must be done at the expense of your opponent. In this game, it is all about everybody, taking advantage of the opportunities we're all giving to each other as our industry grows. And like you said, in the first half of the game, we are literally shipping stuff around on canals. That's what's shown in the picture here. But then, once we hit a certain threshold, we flip all those canals into rail lines, and now we're building rail, and that represents a huge increase in the amount of work that can be done, the throughput that is historically accurate. So, there's a lot going on. There's, trade with spaces overseas, and, just the overall presentation of this game. It's interesting. It's kind of grim and grimy because, it's the early era of industrialization in England. But it's also gorgeous somehow at the same time. It is absolutely incredible. And again, this one was on my short list. If you hadn't been talking about it, I would have been talking about today the number 4, Brass Lancashire.
Brass Lancashire, yeah. And again, it's the reason I'm so happy to see this again, because it's gone out of print a couple of times. It's hard to get this game, but Fun Again got, they have stock now, and it's, again, dirt cheap for what it is. I mean, I've seen, the game itself, it's Roxley, so it's the components are top notch. So.
Yeah, honestly, of everything we're going to talk about today, if you're watching this show tomorrow, that one is the one that I think has the highest likelihood of being sold out. We're sorry, future viewers. You should have been here live on Tuesday when we streamed on Twitch. But can't be everywhere. I'm sure everybody had stuff to do, so that's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, number 4, Brass Lancashire. Now that is a classic Euro game, all about building up industry and all that. Let's talk about a more recent Euro hit, a big, a very, very popular game from last year. Number 3 on the list is Origin's First Builders, which is, when I saw this on the list, I was, okay, is this going to be my number 1? Or is it going to be my number 2 or my number 3? I'm not quite sure, but I knew I had to talk about it. Again, and if you want to know more about it, folks, you can actually go watch my run-through of it. It is out there, but let me go on ahead and show it to you on the Fun Again page, where it is, marked down 40% from MSRP, so that is a great deal. And this is a fantastic game from a very hot, new, up-and-coming designer, Adam Kopinski. And it's interesting. I mean, Adam Kopinski is more known for kind of Ameritrashy, dudes on a map style games. And I didn't know what to expect going into this, but this is one of the best pure Euro economic simulations we had from last year. And there's so much I love about it. I love the story this game tells. Because it tells the secret origin of humanity's ascent. Because it turns out we had a little help from aliens. And so you go back, we're in the era of antiquities, we're trying to build the great wonders and all that. But on the table are these cool little plastic flying saucers that represent the aliens. And we have to decide, how are we going to deploy our workers? We have workers who have specialized in communication with the different aliens, so we can get bonuses if we send them there. But sometimes we need to be inefficient and use them elsewhere. But we're basically activating these aliens that give us the means to build wonders, to do a lot of interesting tiling, to do a lot of engine building, to do a lot of set collection. This game has 5 or 6 different paths to victory, and they're all equally impressive. Are you going to invest in coliseums and entertaining your people? Are you going to invest in science that the aliens can teach us? And all of this is driven by workers and dice worker placement. One of my favorite things about it is that you unlock more workers by getting these cool little dice caddies that go on them, and then the dice themselves represent our experienced workers who we have to send out, because the aliens won't just talk to everybody. If the aliens are feeling a little haughty, you got to send one of your best workers out there. But your best workers really go to that action that I don't want to do, but that action I could send one of my crappy workers to. So it's a very interesting take on worker placement. It's dice worker placement, where the dice color and the dice pip both have different meanings, and you constantly have to juggle what is the smartest move to make. But then, of course, you're also devoting your dice to full-time running of your society, and so you're getting rid of them over time. And there's a lot of really interesting, fun balancing going on in our number 3, Origins First Builders.
Yeah,
okay.
I am really looking forward to playing this game. I recently just got a copy of this as well. But 3 words: dice worker placement. I'm all in.
Yep.
That's all you got to say, and it's a great price. Awesome, nice. Number 3. Let's move on to our number 2, which is come on.
You can do it.
Number 2. I can do it. Number 2. It's a favorite of mine. It is Viticulture, the Tuscany Essential Edition.
I knew there was no way you weren't putting that on your list.
Yeah, this was an automatic for me. I absolutely love Viticulture. I mean, just the theme, it's a pleasant, hey, you're running a winery and all the things that go with that. But Tuscany, what this does is, as great as Viticulture is, Tuscany takes it to the next level.
Before we go any farther, we should say this is an expansion. Viticulture is required to play.
This is an expansion.
Yep.
That's right. And that's why I wanted to highlight it too, because this expansion, folks, doesn't really go on sale much. But it is on sale now at Fun Again Games. As you can see there, it replaces the original map. It's still got the same worker placement, but now you've got a couple of more things you can do. And instead of having 2 seasons, you're going to actually do all 4 seasons this time now. You're going to do different actions for each season. You have a little bit of area control in that map, which also gives you resources which you can use. It brings in special workers. So in the original Viticulture Essential Edition, the brilliant part of that game was the grande worker, right?
Yeah.
That big worker that can go on any spot. Well, this still has a grande worker, but now has special workers that have different abilities, and you can change it up from game to game, either randomly or you can choose, certain workers, which I love. And then, you're gonna you also have buildings that you can attach to your winery. It's one of those expansions, Richard, that I just love because it makes the base game better without throwing a bunch of new things at you. It's new things that make sense within the game, that's really easy to implement, and it's just, again, it's a top 10 game of mine of all time. Our number 2, Viticulture with the Tuscany Essential Edition.
Yeah, and that's not hyperbole That is truth in advertising. This, I think most people agree. Yeah, Tuscany is really cool. There's a lot. I'm sorry, not Tuscany. Viticulture is really cool. I mean, it's kind of what put Stonemaier Games on the map, and Rock Them Storm. It's still one of the highest ranked games on Board Game Geek. But it's not until you get the Tuscany expansion, which adds all these different modules and so much depth and breadth to the game, and a lot more strategy to it as well, that the game really sings. So yeah, I knew I didn't even have to think about that, because I knew there was no way you weren't putting that on your list.
You know how much I love that game.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right.
Not as much as I love our number one game, though, Ruel. I was flabbergasted when Corrosion came across my line of sight on this super sale. Corrosion made my top 10 games of 2021. It is absolutely phenomenal. It is one of the coolest engine building games you are ever likely to see because of everything it does. I mean, I feel like I've had a slow-moving love affair with Corrosion on this show going back until before Essen. It was like I was so excited with Essen Spiel, and then I think it came up in another top 10, and so here it is again. And it is... for a really, really great price on this spring clearance. There's no way this wouldn't be my number one must get of all 400 things that are available. And it is because, like I said, it is engine builder, and I love engine building games. I think a lot of people do, but this one does a lot of really cool game-changing ideas. The key to the game is in the title, Corrosion. This is set in a steampunk era of industrial world, although there's really not any, it's just, it's only steampunk in that there's a lot of steam everywhere. There's steam everywhere, and it's corroding everything. It corrodes our money. It corrodes our engines, our machines. And what we're constantly having to do in this game is deal with the passage of time, because every player has a board, and at the center of the board is a little spinning dial, which the more it spins to the right, that represents more shifts in my factory. And it's interesting. There's a lot of games, or not a lot. There's not as many as I would like, but I love games that have the passage of time being a resource that you have to manipulate, that you have to pay attention. Right? Okay, in 2 rounds, I know this is going to be over here, and I have to prepare for it, and this is how much time I've got, and you're constantly like spinning all those plates. This game is interesting in that the wheel that represents the passage of time doesn't turn automatically. It only turns if you say it does. It only says if you say, okay, we're going to the next shift, we rotate it, and what will happen is when I rotate that wheel, good things and bad things can happen. Some engines will only activate when I rotate the wheel. So unless I start rotating the wheel, my engine's just sitting there doing nothing. Other engines won't activate at all. They're generally more powerful until the wheel eventually reaches them. So I want to get the wheel over there as fast as I can. Now I also, there's a bit of deck building in this game too. All of our engineers that we can hire, that we can send out to our factory to do different things. And once I've played my engineer, they don't come back into my hand until the wheel rotates, so that they can end their shift and they can come back into my hand so I can play them again. So there are a lot of things that incentivize me to be rotating this wheel like crazy. The thing that disincentivizes me is it also destroys everything, because when it eventually gets to, it's great when it gets to the engineers, they come back to work. When it gets to my engines, they're dead, they're toast, they're finished, they're kaput, and I lose them. They literally corrode away to nothing. If I haven't found a way to spend my money that is stockpiling, my money will literally corrode away to nothing, unless I can make sweet, sweet chrome engines and chrome money that will survive. So that can be one of the things you're shooting for, trying to build an engine that gets you towards chrome. But you could also be building engines that just try to meet short-term or mid-term or long-term objectives. There's a very, very cool objective card system that is quite unlike anything else I've ever seen before. And it's interesting. I love this game. Like I said, it made my top 10 of the year. It does so many cool things. I love engine building. I have seen some people worried or complain that they played and said, I played it 2 players and it took us 4 hours and we didn't even finish. We gave up. If you're at all interested in this game, I just want to repeat this. I can't repeat it enough. Remember, everything else I said, put it aside. This is a race game. If there is one player who is pushing time forward so they can get the most they can, even if it means they're going to corrode their factory to the ground, if they are moving fast, and this is a game about grabbing that bird in the hand. No time for the birds in the bush. If you're doing that, because everybody has control over that wheel. There are tricks you can do to stave off the passage of time. And if you want to, you can just kind of get yourself into a loop where I'm just going to keep making engines so that I can make more engines, so that I can make a cooler engine, so that I can make a better engine. But to what end? At some point, you have to actually get something out of these. And to do that, you have to sacrifice this stuff. So if you go in with the right mindset, you are going to have a blast. If you love fast-playing, race-focused engine building games, or racing-focused engine games, I should say, which is why Corrosion makes the #1 spot.
Yeah, I another one that I'm looking forward to. I had a feeling of this one and Origins. I figured those two are a lock for you.
Yeah,
So nice to see it. And yeah, it's been nice to see your love for Corrosion grow throughout the R&R show.
It has.
Here it is now on sale.
Yep.
Perfect. Awesome. All right.
Okay.
Great.
Well, folks, that is it. We have finished another episode. Hopefully, you may have found something interesting amongst all of that business. But the important thing is, did you hear Ruel or myself say the secret word sister? Was there a mention to Twisted Sister? Did somebody say they're not going to take it? No, they're not going to take it. They're not going to take it anymore. If in fact that happened, do not tell us about the song that was sung. Instead, what game were we talking about at that time? Send the name of the game to contest@rahdo.com, and maybe you will win the $50 gift certificate. We will be doing a drawing for that a week from now, so you basically have until March 29th, 2022 to find, and spoiler, there's no secret, there's no Twisted Sister reference. I just couldn't help myself. There were other uses for the word. And see if you can spot it. Send in to contest@rahdo.com. Maybe you'll be the big winner. We'll do our drawing next week. And I think that's it, Ruel. Are we out of here?
I think we're out here. We have done our obligatory reference to a song from 30, 40 years ago, so I think we're good to go, my friend.
That's how you know the show is over, when we start showing our age in the worst possible way. Cool.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you once again, Ruel, for bringing the goods. Thank you, folks, for watching. And thanks to folks who are watching live right now. We're about to go into the post show, where we're going to talk about a bunch more games from this list. Remember, folks, hit that eye up in the top right corner of the screen if you'd like to watch the full, unadulterated, unedited director's cut of the R&R show. But otherwise, in closing, I'd also like to say thanks very much to our sponsor, Fun Again Games. Have a very nice day, everybody. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.